Hey YouTube, so today I wanted to make a video on how to use your Macropad to help you edit videos. So here I have the Megalodon triple knob Macropad by Doyo, and it basically has all these buttons that you can configure to basically do anything you want. It has 3 different knobs that you can turn, and you can also press them to trigger another command. So the reason I got this Macropad was to edit videos, and I've been looking around on YouTube and online, and I really couldn't find like many tutorials on how to set this up for video editing in particular. So that's kind of what I wanted to make a video about today, because I've been messing around with it and I found some pretty neat tricks that you can do. So I'm doing this in Screenflow, which is a video editing program on Mac. So I'm using Screenflow, I'm using Mac, but you know, these principles can be applied to any video editing software. I forget what the Adobe one's called, but yeah. So the first thing we're gonna look at is, so if you get this Macropad, and there's other Macropads out there if you do some research, but you know, I went with this one just because of the knobs and just the way it looks and stuff. But the software that you need after you have this is called Vile. So here's their website. So I set this up quite a while ago. I don't remember if you have to do anything special, but I'm pretty sure it's just a plug and play. So you can download the software if you're on Mac or Windows, run the executable, and then it should, you know, load up the program, and I think it should discover it automatically. If not, then you might have to, there's like a flashing the firmware, but you know, this video is not going to cover that. That's not what this is about. But yeah, so let's just assume you have Vile running, you have the Macropad, and you just want to configure it. So once you open up Vile, here we are. There's the Doyo KB1601. That's the Macropad here. I already have it configured to do what I need it to do in terms of video editing. So here on this side is the knob. So this big knob here. So when you press it, it triggers the space bar. When you turn it to the right, it basically just every turn you do basically clicks the right arrow, like every time you turn it. Same with the left. You turn it left, it's clicking the left arrow. Here, these knobs change the volume. So turning it to the left turns the volume down, turning to the right turns the volume up. And so these are, on this tab here is the basic keyboard layout. So you can click on any of these. For example, this one is empty, and you can set it to, I don't know, the letter T. So every time you press this one, let me bring this over here. If I click, is it this one? Yeah, so this one now always does the letter T. So yeah, you can set it to any key. That's like the basic way to go. If you want to remove it, I think this is just an empty key here. And then if you need more options, there's this app and media and mouse. So this is where like the volume down, volume up is. So there's like some special, you know, commands here, like moving the mouse and other stuff like that. This knob, I set it to the plus sign. The turning it right just clicks the plus sign. Turning it left clicks the down or the minus sign. And the reason I did that is to zoom in and out. On Screenflow, you press the minus and plus button. So I'll show you how that works in a second. The M4, M5, M2, M3, M1, M0 are macros. So this is one of the coolest things about this is setting up macros, which basically let you click, you know, many buttons in one tap. So if I go over to the macros tab up here and I look at my M0, so M0 is set to this bottom right here. So when I press that once like that, it's going to basically do this whole operation here. So left GUI is this button here on the keyboard, which in my case represents the command button on a Mac keyboard. And if I press this, it's basically saying, so this one is set to down, which means hold. So when I click it once, it's holding down the command button, pressing backspace, so tap. So here are the different options: down, up, tap, text. So hold down the command button, press the backspace button, and then raise or lift your finger off of the command button. So this is actually important if you set up a macro, that if you have anything that's holding down a button, that you always want to release it after you're done. Because if you don't do this and you press that, it's gonna just get stuck holding it down, and then anything you try to do on your computer, it's always going to be holding down the command button. It's going to screw everything up for you. So always make sure you set that to up to cancel that out. So I have a few other commands set up basically. So this is like making these shortcuts even shorter. So like instead of pressing Alt Z, I just press one button. This is also helpful. You can do two buttons. So if I want to hold down Shift and the command button and then press Z, I can set it up like this. So this is basically redo on Screenflow. So I have like all these different buttons mapped out, and then I put them here. I also have the left shift button and the command button mapped out individually here. I'll show you why in a bit. So with this configuration, let me jump into Screenflow. So this is a video I was working on earlier. Now I'm doing another iteration of it because I forgot a few things, which just reminded me that. So I set JKL here as well. These are another Screenflow shortcuts. So this one I set to J, this one to K, this one to L. And let me show you what some of these do real quick. So now that I'm in Screenflow, I'm going to put my mouse to the side and my keyboard. I'm not going to touch it, and I'm going to do everything through the Macropad. So as you can see, I'm turning this and I'm incrementing the video by, I think, millisecond intervals. But I also set this key right here to be Shift. So if I hold Shift and then do this, it's incrementing by 1 second now, you can see. The way that works is basically I'm holding Shift and then I'm pressing the right arrow. So this is what, every time I turn this to the right, I'm pressing the right arrow. But since the knob, you can turn it really fast, it's like I'm pressing it lots and lots of times. But if I hold Shift, then it's like I'm pressing Shift and pressing the arrows. So holding Shift increments by 1 second, not holding Shift is milliseconds. K is to pause. But here I can also play and pause. Doyo macro. Let me mute the audio for this video. Since this is bound to spacebar, every time I press it, it's going to pause. When I press it again, it's going to play. But I also set this to K. K also pauses. So J and L are set here. L basically plays the video, and then you can press it again to, speed it up. And then you can pause it with K. You can do it in reverse. So that's the J key. So now it's like speeding up in reverse. So that's what those are doing. So I'm going to hold Shift here. Go back to the beginning. So let's say, this is the beginning of my video and I want to, crop something out. So another key that I set here is I and O. So I is to create an in marker. So if I press I, it creates my in marker here. And then it hovers or selects everything else in this blue. And then wherever I want to cut it, I can press the out marker. So now I have this blue area selected. And say I want to cut this, then I will have to do the shortcut command for ripple delete. But I've created that command, set it to this button here in this macro. So I press that and it does the ripple delete for me. which removes the gap and it shifts the whole video to the left, and it makes it really, really easy to cut the video and like make your edits like extremely fast. So I set some other commands to these buttons, to these macros. So I have undo. So I click that, it undoes. I click this, redos. So I'm gonna undo that. So if I want to remove, say, a section from the beginning of the video, let's say like I record and then I mess up and I start the video from like this right here, and I want to cut everything from the beginning to here. So instead of doing the in marker, I can just directly go straight to the out marker, and it selects everything to the beginning of my video, and then I can just ripple effect, ripple delete, and then that's it. It deletes that whole intro. And now I can, you know, go through my video. I can fast forward with this one. I can say, oh, I got here. I want to create another cut. Do that. The I button. I want to end it there, and then boom. So that's a cut, and then keep going. And you can see how, like, you know, this can really speed up. You're not dragging things around. You're not manually typing in commands. I'm literally using, you know, 2 fingers to do all of this, and just my right hand. So, you know, it's extremely efficient. Another thing I set here, so this creates, so the I creates that, and the O creates the out, but I also have on the left here, I set it to clear, clear the markers. So yeah. Another thing is this, earlier I mentioned this one is set to plus and minus. So if I turn this to the right, it's basically like pressing the plus key, and you can see that it's just zooming in and out on the timeline. So another thing I set, so I set this button to command up here. So if I press command and then did the plus and minus, it would zoom in the video. So you see now I'm holding command and zooming in and out of the video. So yeah. So that, I let go of that, zoom in the timeline, and let me see if I missed anything. No, yeah, I think that covers, you know, everything that I wanted to talk about in terms of editing with this. But, you know, it's just, I thought it was really cool, and I couldn't really find any videos about it, so I figured I'd make something and show you guys how that works. And if anybody has any questions, let me know in the comments. See what I can do. Maybe make another video if, you know, there's demand for it. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.